If I asked you right now, are you doing retention in your coaching business? Most of you would say yes. You care about your clients, you deliver good results, you're responsive, you're present, you think retention is covered. It's not. What I just described is good coaching, and good coaching is obviously a prerequisite if you're gonna sell coaching programs, but it is not the same thing as having a optimized retention system. And the gap between those two things is costing coaches at your level $200,000 to $500,000 a year in revenue, if not more, that you've already earned the right to have, but you don't have the system to collect it consistently. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what a real retention system looks like, why most coaches don't have one, what it costs them, and how to install one in your business right away. Let's get to it. Okay, first thing, retention in a coaching business is not the same thing as client satisfaction. It's not that you have good NPS scores. It's not just that you get great results. It's not how many 5-star testimonials you collect. Retention is a very measurable, systematic KPI that, yes, is built off a great client relationship, but is measured in their decision to move forward into your next stage program. And if that's not built with intentional infrastructure, not just hope, then you are leaving so much money on the table. I want to share with you how I think about it. I want to share with you how I've added 200 to 500,000, if not $1 million to people's businesses by installing this one simple system and optimizing it. There are two types of retention outcomes. There are two types of retention buckets. One I would call obvious retention, and the other one is called earned retention. Obvious retention is the client that stays because things are going well and it's never even crossed their mind to leave. And any coach can retain that type of person. And that's probably to the tune of 10, 15, maybe 20%. But earned retention is the difference between 33, 50, 60, and 70% plus retention. And the gap between that 10 to 20% retention and 50 to 70% retention is where all this additional revenue I'm talking about, on top of brand equity that you're building by keeping and retaining clients and delivering to them a long-term transformation. Earned retention is where clients stay because you've built a compelling vision with specific systems that meet them where they're at every stage of the program. It makes staying the obvious, easy, but more importantly, emotionally compelling choice, not retention just based on loyalty or past results. You probably have realized that love and loyalty and past results does not always equal the student choosing to stay in your next high ticket offer. Most coaching businesses rely on obvious retention and call it good retention. But earned retention is where you blow through and create a whole new ceiling about what's possible in your business. And it's by understanding human psychology, neuroscience, and human development. Eventually, a client's program ends. Maybe results plateau, life happens, or maybe they just get bored. How you design the offer and how you lay out a roadmap for them to meet them right where they're at in those moments is the determining factor between whether or not they see value in staying or they let boredom or a plateau be the reason that they should leave. And the truth is, for most coaching businesses, their delivery and their retention system isn't built on this human psychology. And so the second it gets hard, the second they get bored, or the second they plateau, the client starts looking elsewhere. Instead of going, you told me this was happening, this is exactly where I need to be, I'm excited to go through this with you. And without a retention system built on this human psychology, the default is for them to depart. And that's what costs you severely from having a business that feels like it has high ticket MRR and a business that compounds and continues to scale. If for every 10 clients you bring in, 5 of them are not buying a next level high ticket program, you have huge areas of opportunity in your business. If your client retention looks like months, maybe a year, not multiple years, maybe even a decade. And this is so often the difference between 50 to 100K a month businesses and 100K to 300K a month businesses with the same acquisition strategies, same size teams, same front end offer, but one is doing 50 to 100K and the other is doubling or tripling what that business is doing. This is the real leverage, if you've ever heard that phrase before, that comes from dialing in retention that almost no coach is really working on. So what are 4 things that you can start installing into your retention architecture right away that will make a major difference? Number 1 is what I would call the Milestone Map. It's kind of like a belt system in jiu-jitsu or karate. You don't just bring a kid in and say, here's your white belt, work really hard, and one day hopefully you'll have a black belt. There are designed incremental progress points that reinvigorates, drops dopamine in the student's brain that gets them to continue to be excited about the progress that they're making. We call this a milestone map. The number 1 reason clients disengage is actually oftentimes not dissatisfaction with you. It's boredom. It's a loss of perceived progress. It's them feeling like they're not on track because they're not close enough to the start of the pool anymore, and they're way too far from the other end, and so they feel lost in the middle. And when clients can't feel themselves moving forward, they start to think they're not making progress. And we as human beings are actually not wired for achievement, we're wired for progress. And so they start to mentally check out. And when someone has started to mentally check out, what does this really mean? They've lost emotional commitment to their why. And when we lose connection to our why or where we're going, we lose value in why we're investing in coaching, community, accountability, or why we're doing the things that we're doing right now, especially when it gets hard, especially when it plateaus, or especially when it gets boring. A milestone map is a intentionally designed, visible progress roadmap laid out for your clients to see. The same way my daughter started jiu-jitsu when she was 3, and the first time she ever walked in, there was something on the wall with all of the colored belts. And even as a little girl, she could talk about the belts that she wanted to earn and at what stage she wanted to earn them. It gave her a map for milestones. It gave her a map for progress. But that's not just for little kids. That's for human beings that want to have lasting transformation. It's not just a curriculum of what's going to get taught or information, it's a game plan for transformation. Clients who can see where they are, where they've been, and where they're going stay committed and anchored to the process even when it gets hard in the middle. Practically, this means that you start to name your stages. You start to help people identify to where they're at. And I know I keep using a belt analogy, but it's like when someone says, I am a blue belt. There is an identity that comes with that. I'm no longer a beginner, but I know I'm not advanced yet, so I got right. And people associate and identify with that stage so they know what to focus on next. It gives them clarity. It creates a moment for them to also celebrate their progress and continue to move from one stage to the next. And this allows a client to take a bigger transformation and break it down into bite-sized chunks. The second thing that you can start implementing into your retention right now is recognizing that retention happens at the entrance, not the exit. It allows you to have like an early warning detection and proactively get ahead of why clients start to churn. Churn is actually quite predictable. Clients who cancel rarely wake up one morning and decide because they're having a bad morning, you know what, I think I'm gonna cancel coaching today. They disengage gradually over weeks, if not months. They show small signals of it, but if you don't know how to look out for it, then you'll never be able to catch it. It's little things like reduced participation. They're showing up late to group calls. They're less engaged, their cameras are off. Maybe they are not as enthusiastic about the progress that they're at. They're not sharing with you the vision of where they're wanting to go, so they start to feel like they're just going through the motions. There's a lot of early detection signs and signals, whether it's shorter responses, missed check-ins, declining energy in their communication. None of these things are bad. They're bad if you don't have signs to catch them and coach that person differently when you're noticing them. The problem is most coaches either never notice these signals after a client has already started to show them that this is where they're at. And so therefore retention starts to feel reactive instead of putting proactive things in place to address the things that we know are going to happen for most people. And reactive retention is only obvious retention. It's where you have a low success rate, but you don't get the earned retention I talked about earlier. Early warning detection or understanding like a leader where people are going to be at in their process is a simple upgrade to how you deliver and build a retention system. It puts things in place for you to monitor and flag when these patterns start to happen. If you know the emotional cycles of change, it's called informed pessimism, stage 2, if you've seen that before, or worse, the client's starting to show signs of being in the valley of despair. Once again, these things aren't bad. They're actually normal, and a reframe here for you, they're a good thing because it means the client's making progress towards the outcome that they really want. It's a bad thing if you as a coach don't change systematically how you serve people in those moments. And if you don't have systematic retention strategies for people in those moments, that's where cancellation decisions start to rise. But it doesn't have to be complex. There are simple signals that you can put into place every week or every month to be on top of this. Things like client win tracking, engagement rates, response quality, and knowing that the client is clear on what their next 30 and 90-day goals are. These are the types of things that can be self-reported and paid attention to by a delivery team. And when you have a simple tracking dashboard or way to oversee these things, and someone takes ownership in your team of paying attention to this, you can be proactive about these signals and get earned retention and lead to above average retention and therefore above average client transformation, because most coaching programs are not delivering or designing for these types of things. But when you do, you will stand out from the crowd. A lot of people say right now, the online coaching space is saturated. It is not saturated. It's just calling forward those who are willing to sophisticate. Those who are willing to improve, become more sophisticated, and level up will win in this industry right now. And by putting proactive strategies in place, like meaningful personalized touch points, helping them reconnect to what we call their GPS. What is their current goal? What is their current pain? And what is the current strategy that they're focused on? Coaches who install these types of like early warning detection reports have 30 to 50% absolute retention, if not to the tune of 60 to 80%. And this is, again, one of those difference makers between $1 million coaches versus $2, $3 to $5 million coaches. The third out of 4 things that you can install right away is what we call there, care, somewhere. Clients don't just stay for results. You've seen that already. They stay because of 2 things: a deep connection or relationship to you, their coach, and or the community. The second thing they stay for is a clear vision. Like that Bible quote, where there is no vision, the people will perish. And I think a lot of coaches, they take pride in being there for the client. That is just the prerequisite. That is just the expectation that you're there for them. But if you are there for them, they feel like you care for them, and they see that you're taking them somewhere, you have a relationship depth with that client well beyond anything else that is out there in the coaching industry. And when you have that type of intentionality in the investment in the relationship and where the client's going, they as the client will see a vision to stay and a connection that makes it obvious that this is the place for them. It's kind of like studies found, what are the only 3 things kids really subconsciously are wondering about their parents? And it is 3 things. Do you see me? Do you want me? And do you have a plan for my life? And if you really break that down, if you lead clients the same way, in a way they feel like you're there for them, you deeply care for them, and you have a vision for their life, it becomes obvious and easy for them to decide to want to stay for years, not months. Some things I've seen implemented to make this systematic. You can have routine touch points, genuine recognition, personalized acknowledgement of wins, and also just audit checkpoints where it's not just everyday run-of-the-mill, go through the motions coaching, but it's an opportunity to assess where were we, where are we now, and where do we really feel like we're going. You're constantly aligning with that client where you both are right now, so you're on the same page about where you're going. This is future anchoring touch points and conversations about what comes after the current phase that they're in right now. But if they don't feel like you care, then they just feel like you're selling them on the next level program. And that's why all 3 are so important. Do they feel like you're there? Do they feel like you care? And do they feel like you're taking them somewhere? When you do this, they're emotionally enrolled into the long game. And the fourth and final thing you can install into your retention right now is what I would consider an Ascension bridge. The most expensive leakage in most coaching programs is how they handle the end date. And this is where obvious retention, you'll still get no matter what, but earned retention collapses if you don't have a system to bridge where the client feels like they're at and how to smoothly step into the next stage with a proven process. And this is where, when the container ends, if they don't have a reason to stay with a clear next step, it creates friction and then they check themselves out. So an Ascension bridge is an intentional transition process that is not just, hey, your program's coming up, do you think you want to continue? An Ascension bridge is, hey, based on where you're at right now, regardless if we're a good fit to continue working together or not, I care that you are crystal clear on what your goals are from here and what the challenges are that would stop you from getting there. I want to make sure that you are equipped with those things so the momentum we've built so far not just continues, but takes the next step. Notice what I just role played. This conversation should feel coaching. This should feel obvious. This should feel of service and valuable, but most people's process at this stage feels procedural and salesy. Because you have been doing all the things we talked about in this video, planting seeds from the beginning, showing clients that you're there, you care, and you're taking somewhere, once you put the right Ascension bridge in place, it feels like an obvious next step for them to go from where they are into the next stage program. And just to anchor in with some math, why this would be so valuable, let's say you bring in 150 new clients every year. If you actually had 50% absolute retention, that would be 75 people stepping into the next stage program. And if how you were doing this, people were enthusiastic and saw the value of your next stage program to the point where that average program was 8K. We have many fitness coaches where that next level program is higher, some a little bit lower, but 8K is around the average. At 50% of those 150 students, you have 75 people stepping into an 8K program. That's $600,000 added to your business this year that most coaches are just leaving on the table. And that's why I'm so passionate about making sure coaches see this after they're already established, after they're already at $1 million, because there's so much transformation, there's so much impact, and yes, there's so much revenue for you that's being left on the table by not treating this process with the same level of intentionality as you do front-end sales. So here's what I hope you're seeing from these four components. They don't operate independently. It's all of a process. The same way your front-end process all flows like a funnel. Each one compounds or amplifies one to the next. The Milestone Map reduces early churn, which means more clients reach the Ascension conversations. Early warning detection prevents mid-program departures, early churn, which means the relationship has the opportunity to go deeper so clients can feel that you're there, you care, and you're taking them somewhere. Relationship depth, and that investment creates the emotional context, because you know this as well as I, sales are created emotionally, then justified logically, so the Ascension bridge feels natural and it feels opted into instead of it feeling transactional or forced. And the Ascension bridge then compounds all of that, so conversions are high, moving into high-level LTV and stacking MRR. This raises the floor of your business and lifts the ceiling that you maybe have been feeling stuck at for quite some time. This is what $1 million coach Rob did and added $500,000 in sales in the first 9 months putting this into place. This is what Fritz put into place to stabilize slow months and lift the ceiling of his vegan coaching business to $200 to $300K a month. This is what Bastian did to add $956,000 to his coaching program in 10 weeks. And oftentimes when I tell people results like that, they ask me, what funnel did he build? How much more was he spending on ads? What kind of acquisition was he getting? Or did he go viral? And the cool part is he did none of those things. He installed a retention and Ascension system with the clients he already had. And this added a whole new level of leverage inside his business model. I could go on and on and on about 7- and 8-figure coaches just like you that took the time to really prioritize this and how it unlocked a whole new level in their business. But beyond just the revenue, I'm passionate and such a big believer in this because I also think it's what clients deserve from us as coaches. We know that real success comes over long time horizons. And more times than not, in the time they worked with you in their accelerator of 4 months, 3 months, 6 months, maybe even 12 months, yes, they made progress, yes, they got results, but rarely did they have the container and the time horizon to have quantum leaps and lasting transformation. And I believe we owe that to our clients. I believe we owe that to the industry. And yes, the reward is the growth of your business.